Attention, everybody. The views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of Axe Ministry, Axe Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and or nonprofits. So without any further ado, it's a man with a plan to put gold in your hand, Mr. Tony Hammock.
Good morning, everybody out there in the Axe Ministry viewing audience. What a week it's been, huh? I hope everybody's safe and, I don't know, the word's not sequestered, but out of harm's way. Maybe we'll just use that one as a big generalization.
I don't even know what sequestered means.
It's what they do to juries when they don't want them to go home, and they got to wait for a while to do we're going to be sequestered.
They isolate them.
Yes, they isolate them. Oh, leave it to Matt. He comes in with a better word. Well, that's why we've got him on the show.
That's my job. They can't actually see me right now.
Oh.
I've got them zoomed in on that beautiful beard you got going on there.
Yeah.
It's actually a nice looking beard.
Well, thank you. It was 6 weeks old yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, 6 weeks ago.
You have a party at 1 month and then maybe?
Yeah, we're thinking we're going to start celebrating it as it grows in. But
have you decided how far you're going to grow it, like how big it's going to be? Or
no, I'm going to keep it kind of close cut. The 25th of March, I'm going in for them to reevaluate the surgery. Remember, I had that surgery on my neck?
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to go, take a look at it and stuff. It seems to be healing up just fine.
They'll probably shave it for you if they have to do anything to it.
Well, hopefully that's not
How is it healing up? Is it good?
Yeah, we're good.
Because, I never noticed it until you had pointed it out that it was a pretty fair-sized lump.
Yeah, well,
right
it was a weird thing. 1989, my doctor, I had it first time, and I asked him, I said, what's this? And it's just drainage, don't worry about it. And it went from 89 to last year.
Famous last words, right?
And last year it started getting bigger. So I asked the doctor again, and he's like, let's send you over to an ear, nose, and throat expert, and one thing led to another, and February 4th, I got it cut out. And it was benign, so that was a good piece of news there and stuff.
Benign.
Yes.
That's always the words that you want to hear in regards to that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I won't say what we're saying about cancer these days, but there's some four-letter words that go in front of that, and then we say cancer.
Yeah.
We just lost a really good friend of
cancer.
ours. Yeah,
That's a better way of putting it.
Yeah, thank you. We just lost a really good friend of ours.
I'm sorry.
I guess it was early Sunday morning. A gentleman named Greg Forrest, who lived here in town and unfortunately passed away. And, cancer is just... It's an awful, awful thing, and our prayers go out to his family and other families that have been affected by cancer. Anyway, back to the show here. What I thought I would do this morning, knowing that this may be my last show. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen here with the studio or with Matt or Jason or any of the other producers and players and so forth, but I thought I'd come in and just kind of go through some of our normal stuff, because some of that normal stuff's now more important than ever. And then I got a few ideas on how I'd like to kind of cover the middle part of the program and then get out of here, and that way everybody can get home and get safe and stuff like that.
I've Lysol'd the poo out of everything.
Oh my goodness!
In here.
Well, that's probably a start. That's probably a good thing.
I even Lysol'd the whole elevator whenever I was in there on my way up here.
Oh yeah. Well, what made me mad? I was in the elevator and I saw this girl walking in from the parking lot, and she looked like she was sick. And of course, she made it to the elevator, and I was like, ah.
That's all right. Yesterday, I was getting on one, and a guy came out, and he was coughing without covering his mouth. He was coughing as the doors were opening, and then saw us, and then covered his mouth as he's walking away. And we have to walk into that elevator. So
yeah, that's awful.
If you're ever uncomfortable about stuff like that, don't walk into the elevator. Take the stairs.
Well, and that was the thing. I was almost ready to, because I normally do, but anyway, I think by the time this is all said and done and over and stuff, we're going to have a lot of different ways we do things here in this country and in the world and stuff. I know that if you're watching this show, you probably are a person of faith. So, let's say our prayers and know that God probably won't give us anything we can't handle and stuff. So that's what we're kind of going on, is faith at our family and stuff. But with that said, let's get the devotional from the stewardship class out of the way, because as I've said many times before, I think that might be my favorite part of the show, just because, that's really why Jim Whining and I kind of brought this back together, the show that is, and that is that we want to kind of spread the word of how your belief in God and your faith should be working hand in hand with your feelings about money. And because money is not the root of all evil. It's a neutral item, and it's how you kind of...
the love of money is the root of all evil.
Yes, sir. So with that in mind, let's look at the devotional. This is the 5th lesson. And from this new one, remember this one has 12. It says, the interest of others. One of the walls of Christianity that has existed for centuries is the attitude of many full-time Christian workers and business people. Often pastors, missionaries, and other full-timers see business people as a dollar sign. They see them as the instrument to fund their next project or provide the support they need. This wrong view towards business people encourages them to harden their hearts towards legitimate projects. It creates a vicious cycle in which Satan robs both servants of God of the blessing of each other's gifts and talents. I once attended an international conference in which business people acknowledged having this attitude towards Christian workers. Christian workers asked for forgiveness for viewing those in business as objects for funding. There was a time of repentance and tears for the selfish attitude and callousness of both groups. Christian business people have more to offer the kingdom than their dollars, but this is often overlooked. Paul admonishes us to do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Built in humility, consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not only to your own interest, but also to the interest of others. Your attitude should be the same as that of Christ Jesus. If the God of the universe came as a humble servant, we in business must maintain our humble servant attitude towards those who have lesser means and are seeking to serve the Lord. God has entrusted many of us in business with greater resources. The test is to examine whether we are operating in vanity or Christ-like servanthood, looking out for the interest of others. Ask the Lord to provide the grace to consider each request that comes to you for assistance and to avoid becoming callous to these requests. This is one test from God that he brings to determine whether you will serve others before yourself. The true test of giving is when it has no benefit to yourself. Wow, that was a little longer than the last few, but very powerful, and I think there's some merit to both sides of that and stuff. I know that we've been going to church for decades and have made sure our boys have been involved with church and stuff, and it's interesting how some churches view pledge cards and the passing the plate, and others are a little different and stuff. And I mean, we know it's a necessity and everything, but sometimes, it can be handled a little bit more appropriate. So anyway, enough about that. I thought that was a good testimonial. Hopefully you'll agree with me. There's just a lot of things going on in the world today that we probably should discuss. And one of them is that, there's just a lot of volatility out there. I noticed on the way in this morning, in fact, let me go ahead and get to the pricing. The market was down another 1,000 points at the open, the stock market that is. And, that's after yesterday it actually rebounded a little bit from Monday's, virtual 3,000 point drop. And, some of these are things I've been talking about on the show now for a while, which is why, here again, Jim and I kind of thought this might be a good piece of content for the ministry, or the media group rather, which is, talking about alternative assets. So often people get caught up in the euphoria of something that's just gone up forever, and they kind of forget that things can go down, and unfortunately that's what happens. That's why I always like to be kind of a contrarian. In other words, if everybody's jumping on XYZ stock, I might want to sell it short, or whatever the example may be and stuff. But right now, as we speak, or I should say as of 9/10, which is pretty close to where we're at, gold was trading at $1,512.40 an ounce. Silver was at $12.31 an ounce. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, I've talked about this ratio of silver to gold, And when I checked it yesterday, I think it was like 115 to 1. In other words, 115 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold with these prices I just quoted, which means that, if we thought silver was a good idea at $18 an ounce, which is where it's been for some time, at $12.30 an ounce, I mean, this is a steal. I mean, I don't know if that's the right term I want to use here, but it's a no-brainer. I mean, it is less right now than it costs to get silver out of the ground, and it's a consumable precious metal. I mean, there's just a lot of things that use silver, so the demand is always going to be there. Anyway, platinum is $633 an ounce, palladium is $672 an ounce, and rhodium, holy cow. Remember a couple weeks ago, rhodium was like 12 and 13,000. Rhodium is $6,500 an ounce now. And in fact, there's a question here. It says, did rhodium really go down 1,500 points or 25%? And the answer is yes. Now, with rhodium, what might be going on there, I haven't checked the news as far as South Africa this morning, but remember there for a while, both palladium and rhodium were going sky high because the main place those two metals are mined is in Africa, and they had a water shortage and had stopped mining. So maybe this is an indication here that something's changed over there. I'll find out, and if we have a show next week, I'll let you know. But those were all the quotes for the precious metals. Copper, now remember, these are the base metals, and we're getting into pounds. But copper is $2.20 a pound. Nickel is $5.15 a pound. Aluminum is 72 cents. Zinc is 82 cents, lead is 73 cents, and uranium is $24.10. Crude oil, now this is a number you're just not going to believe because, I mean, for months we do this price quote here on the show, and gold was between 50 and 60 bucks a barrel. This morning, it's $24.31 a barrel. Now think about that for a second, $24.31 a barrel. And if you've gotten gas lately, I know I got gas yesterday, and I think it was $1.88 a gallon. So there's obviously some things going on in the oil industry. And then the Dow, as of 9:13 this morning, which was 2 minutes ago, was off 1,047 points, basically 5%, and it's now at 20,189. And it wasn't all that long ago that it was at 29,189. So in the last month, we've seen about 30% of the market value just poof, disappear. And not to say I told you so, but I told you so. I mean, there for a long time, I was looking at this thinking that things were just way overbought. There was this euphoria, that Greenspan used to talk about, that, people were just putting anything they could into the market thinking it could only go up. And, it was primed for a downward move like this, but it took the coronavirus scare to, kind of push it over the edge and stuff. And so, not to sit here and spend too much time on that, but, I think that hopefully this has been a lesson for everybody that this is something that they might want to pay closer attention to. Now, one of the things I did, and I don't know necessarily, rely on CNBC as a source for anything, but as I was coming up in the elevator, I was thinking we might want to talk about just some common sense things to do with your money during this coronavirus pandemic. And so I found an article, The Most Important Things to Do with Your Money During the Coronavirus Outbreak, according to 5 financial advisors. And I'll read these real quick just because some of them make a heck of a lot of common sense, and then we can move on. But says here, the coronavirus has officially been declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization, bringing instability to the U.S. economy. The stock market is hitting lows not seen since the '87 market crash, and hard-hit industries are beginning to lay off workers. Health experts and governments around the world are urging caution, but it's also critical to be prepared for the outbreak to become worse. People across the U.S. are already stocking up on basic supplies In the event that they need to stay home from work for a prolonged period, others are canceling trips and foregoing conferences and sporting events. CNBC make it spoke to, that's kind of obviously worded wrong, spoke to 5 financial advisors about what to do if you're worried about what the instability could mean for your money. First, don't panic. Then, prioritize these 4 things. So leave your investments alone. Most advisors say to leave your investments alone in times of instability and uncertainty. Now is also a good time to reevaluate your goals. And make sure your investments align with them. If you are investing for a short-term goal like buying a house and the market drop is too dramatic for you to feel comfortable, consider how you might change your strategy when things settle down. While you might hear the advice that now is a good time to buy, Marshall says to disregard that. It's more important to invest on a consistent basis than to try to get a deal. And we've talked about that a number of times. You know, that's that dollar cost averaging concept. You want to invest in a consistent basis. If you're doing $100 a month, continue to do $100 a month, and the benefit of dollar cost averaging will work for you. It's nearly impossible to pick the bottom of any market correction, he says. If you truly have a diversified portfolio, some of your holdings should be doing better with this recent market downturn. If everything in your portfolio goes up and down in lockstep, you probably aren't as diversified as you think. And remember, that's why we've been talking about gold and silver. Back in 2008, the last time we had a situation like this, you know, the market, the S&P 500 was down 38%, I believe it was, and gold was up 5.4%. So that's why gold is a nice addition to any portfolio. Let me see. In times of uncertainty, it makes sense to want to pause investing and instead keep your money in a safer place, like a savings account. But investors must overcome this impulse. If the fact is, you must be willing to tolerate some uncertainty and indeed risk. In your plan, if you want to out-earn the inflation rate, over time, higher risk assets, namely stocks, have returned substantially more than guaranteed and low risk assets, and it's reasonable to assume that pattern will hold in the future too. Another suggestion is step away from social media and other fear-mongering news. In every previous health scare, the markets reacted negatively, and over the course of 3 to 6 months after the initial shock, markets returned to normalcy, and in most cases, the markets produced a positive return. That said, gains are never guaranteed when investing, though historically the market has increased in value. Increase your emergency savings. By far, your top financial priority should be to ensure you have a sizable emergency fund. This becomes doubly important because the U.S. does not have mandated paid sick leave. If you get sick and miss work or lose your job because of coronavirus, you'll need money to fall back on. Aim to put away 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in a savings account. The most important thing people can do now is to make sure they have an emergency fund in place, and or plan to access lines of credit in the event their paycheck is affected by the outbreak. This sort of situation is exactly what emergency funds are put in place for. If you don't have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved, then it's time to make some sacrifices to increase your emergency fund. One savings suggestion: make a list of all non-essential expenditures, including recurring subscriptions and memberships. Rank them in order of importance, then cut out the items ranked near the bottom of your list for a few weeks or months. Support others. If you are able, use your money to help friends, family, and your broader community. If you are healthy and it doesn't run afoul of local guidance for your area, continue to patronize your local businesses, including restaurants, cafes, and hairstylists, and tip generously. These folks can't make up the revenue and income they'll lose while people stay home. If you are isolated, donating food to food banks. Consider getting family and friends in high-risk environments like hospitals and nursing homes devices to stay in touch with people so that they are not completely isolated. At the very least, set aside time to FaceTime with the people you won't see as regularly. And then last but not least, wash your hands. There's only so much you can do in the midst of an event like this. So continue to be diligent about washing your hands. It's important to be informed and aware of the virus globally in the States and locally in your community. However, try to stay calm, maintain perspective, and recognize what's in your control. So just a couple of quick ideas of what to do with your money during a pandemic like this. And, a lot of that's... understood, but some of it's not. And it's real easy if you're in a family of mutual funds, or if you're in a variable annuity, or if you're in a 401k. I mean, you can contact that company and ask them to move your positions to cash. Now, the way those products work is, like, for example, let's say we did it right now at 9:22 this morning. They wouldn't cash it out right now. What they do is they wait until the end of the market, which is at 3 o'clock Central Time, and then they wait for all the different securities inside those products to be priced. They find out the new net asset value, and then they execute your desire to move to cash. So in other words, if we have another day where it's down 3,000 points, you're already too late. I mean, as far as trying to avoid that, because it'll be priced in at the close, and then your request will be granted. So just keep that in mind. The only reason I'm saying that is I run across people every day that, they think they're set. I mean, they can't make a change inside a family of funds or a variable annuity. And, who knows, at this point, some of those products may have some restrictions on there as far as how much or how often you can make those changes. But still, there's no sense staying in something that you're not comfortable with. If you need to raise some extra cash to get your emergency fund higher, this is a great example. Also take into consideration tax consequences. If you've got some products that are outside of an IRA, they're not tax sheltered, it might make sense to look at what's happened. And if you've got a position that's at a tax loss now, and it would help to offset something you had a gain in earlier. I know we're only in March, but some people are trading day in, day out and stuff. It might make sense to go ahead and liquidate that position, and so it can offset any gain you had earlier in the year. And then, if you just are in love with it, wait 30 days and go back in, so you can have what they call as a wash sale. But anyway, I'm getting off in the weeds on that. Let me stop there. Matt's back in the room. He looks like he's ready to do a quick announcement on our sponsor. And Matt, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Tony. Hey, everybody. Matt here from the producer's desk, sitting right across from Tony Hammock, the golden child. I'm going to start calling him.
Ha!
Sorry, I just ate a piece of candy, so now my mouth is kind of salivating. Anyways, so if you're enjoying this program, the information that you're receiving, and as well as other programs where you can receive encouragement, you can receive, as you're listening, you can also get, advice and things like that, proper application of Scripture in your life without any judgment. Not just that, just many other programs that we have. We'd like to partner with you guys to see if you could, if you partner up with us and give a gift and help us grow our programming and expand the types of programs that we have and the amount of programs that we have on here. And if you're interested in finding out what Acts Ministry is all about, it's simple. You can go online to actsmediagroup.com, and you can see all the shows that we had from last week, as well as the Real News Review, which has articles written by numerous people that are very informative, very uplifting, and sometimes even a little comical and funny, like some of the shows that we have. There's a lot of other programs that we have, and you can read about those on actsmediagroup.com. Autism awareness projects and programs. We have a kidney fund, which helps to offset and helps to pay the co-pays of anti-rejection medication after the transplant has been done. We have the Veterans Church on Thursday nights, as well as every second and fourth Sunday from 2 to 4, and on Thursday nights it's from 6:30 to 8, where there is a couple of messages by two very wonderful pastors and some comments from very kooky Dr. Wilkie. It's a really good show. You should check it out. We have we address elderly care issues, ministers and ministry searching and support, meaning we are a worldwide ministry with ministers all over the world spreading the gospel and spreading the love and the message of unity in Christ through the Holy Spirit. And here's the other mottos that we have, which are very, very important too. And you can't have one without the others. Serving where needed and doing the right thing. So that is our mission statement as well on here. Axe Television Network is what you're watching right now. Like I said, you have the Real News Review and as well axeradio.com if you want to listen to some reruns of the shows, the talk shows, even from back whenever we were only doing radio, which is crazy. It's been a long time. So I'll tell you, we want to partner with you to continue to grow this ministry and to continue to grow this media outreach so we can continue to bring you more programs like The New Gold Standard with Tony Hammock. We're still working on a nickname for him. We'll get it. Anyways, with that being said, thank you again. Just go on to axmediagroup.com, scroll down, and you'll see a donate button right on the right. And it's very easy to do, and you can set up a one-time gift, or you can become a monthly partner with us and set up a monthly donation as well. So with that being said, back to you, Tony.
Thank you, Matt. I was real excited. I got my most recent delivery from 7K Metals. That's the one we've talked about quite a bit on the show over the last couple of months, ever since last September 25th, when I joined them. And so they have a Coin of the Month club, and I just got my most recent one, which is this beautiful
I'm going to show it to everybody.
Silver Eagle. And this one is not one of the ones from the states. They've got that collection of 50, one from each state that they've been trying to promote. And
that's a beautiful coin, Tony.
Apparently, yes, thank you. Apparently, these mints kind of close down in January and February so they can get all their presses and everything, molds and stuff retooled. So those will be starting up again here probably by next month. But in the meantime, they sent out one that's just kind of a I don't want to say generic, but it's a PCGS MS70 Silver Eagle, which is $1, and it's 1 ounce of silver. And I got to tell you, these are really, really neat. There's an outfit out there called NGC, and in fact, there's two of them. One is this PCGS, and the other one is NGC, and both of them are rating agencies for numismatics, which are these coins that you can collect and stuff. And I don't know, somewhere last week I had a moment where I was just kind of fiddling around on the computer, and I went to the website, and I found that I could enter my coins and, kind of keep track of them, which is kind of neat, because I've got a few now. I mean, now that I've been doing this since September. And so the first one I plugged in, I know I didn't spend this amount of money on it, but its current value is $65. And I know I got it for probably somewhere closer to 25 or 30 last year. So, now I'm going to go around and get all my coins and load them in there and stuff. But that's just the point of kind of collecting in this fashion, which is the coins do appreciate. We're going to get into here in a moment, trying to not do the $1.2 million mistake that 7K talks about. And the reason for that is you never know which years are going to be the good ones. For example, if you went back to 1986 when they first started issuing these Silver Eagles, and by the way, they've got Gold Eagles too, but this particular story is about the Silver Eagles. If you'd started buying one Silver Eagle every month from 86 through this month, you'd have about 400 and some, 404 I think it is. And you probably would have spent somewhere between $40,000 to $50,000 to accumulate those Silver Eagles. They would now be worth $1.2 million, which is hard to believe, but that's not a bad rate of return. And here's the thing. If you go through, and that's why I was at NGC's website, I was checking out some pricing over the last 40 years. And it's amazing because for some reason, like for example, if you go back to 1996, those coins that were issued in 96 are worth like $6,000 a piece. So, there was 12 of them, right? You take 6 times 12, what is that, $72,000 of the 1.2 million is just from the 1996 coins. And then if you go to 1999, those coins are now worth $19,000 each. So you take 12 of those and you got a little shy of 240,000 just coming from 12 coins from 1 year. Now I can tell you there's a lot of the years where the coins are worth, $80, $100, $120. But if you total them up, they're going to have a value right now of about 1.2 million, and that's why I kind of like this concept, because it's a real pleasant way of acquiring some wealth, trading some fiat dollars, which are becoming less and less valuable every day with the way Jay Powell is conducting the Fed and so forth. And let me come back to Jay Powell in just a second. Along with the monthly coin, I get a travel savings card, and this travel savings card's worth $125. I can use this card to save on over 400,000 hotels, resorts, and cruises worldwide. Activate it, online. Of course, they're not doing very many cruises right now, and not many people are traveling, but these cards are good forever until you activate them. And then when you activate them, they're good for 18 months. And I've used some of these getaway cards already back in the fall, and they do work. And so the monthly coin did come in, and I'm excited for next month's to come in, because I think it's going to be, I was told yesterday, I think it's going to be California. So they'll go back to the 50 states. Now, with that said, let's talk about Jay Powell for a second. I usually don't get this opinionated on the show, but that's just one of those things that I've got to point out. If Jay Powell was a poker player, he would be out of business, because I got to tell you, a couple weeks ago when he came in and did this emergency announcement and lowered the interest rates, the fact that he said it was an emergency announcement, instead of getting the desired results they were looking for, was for the market to go up, it went straight down. Everybody realized he was covered in fear, and for the chairman of the Federal Reserve to be that frightened, it just sent a shockwave through the markets. And so then they just about kind of come around where they're getting stabilized and all this kind of stuff. And what do you know? Sunday, he's got to do it again. And, the crazy thing about it is today the feds and all the governors and all this kind of stuff are supposed to be getting together. And at the end of the meeting today, he could have just kind of casually come out and said, by the way, we've agreed to lower rates. And it would have been taken with the right intentions, and probably the market would have benefited from it. But coming out on a Sunday, no less, and saying we've got this emergency change we're making, we're dropping rates and stuff, no wonder Monday opened up, and then by the time the day was over and the trading stopped, they were down about, it was just shy of 3,000 points on the Dow. So I just don't know what's going on with Mr. Powell. He usually seems like he's in control of things. I know he's been getting a lot of pressure from President Trump to lower rates, but he doesn't have much room left to play with. I mean, we're down to where I think we're at 25 basis points, which isn't much. I mean, how much lower can he lower it? I mean, he can't. And, there's 7 or 8 major countries, Germany and Japan being 2 of them, that have negative interest rates right now because they're trying to create an incentive for businesses to invest. But negative interest rates are just that. I mean, can you imagine, let's say you went out and you had a situation where all you could find were negative interest rates, and you wanted to tie your $10,000 up for 10 years in a German bond, and in 10 years, instead of getting 10,000 plus interest back, you get back something less than 10,000, like $9,950. I mean, it just blows my mind that negative interest rates have even started, let alone have survived this long. So anyway, enough of that. That was my little pedestal talk about Jay Powell. I mean, I hope he's okay and all this kind of stuff. But, let's talk about something real quick here, and then I want to kind of work towards a close, which I think will be effective. But, this is almost one of those questions that doesn't need to be asked. Are you working harder for your money to cover the basics? I mean, there's a number of people that because of this pandemic are out of work, and some of them aren't fortunate enough to be in situations where the companies they're with are still going to pay them salaries and stuff. A lot of people, especially in the food industry and so forth, are out of work, and they're not covered by anything like that. So the only reason I bring that up is if you're ever thinking that you or someone you know is interested in working, and none of these particular positions I can mention are salary-based. They're all commission-based. Excuse me. But I do know a number of companies and situations that I have that will pay a commission, based on productivity. And you're welcome to call me or you're welcome to email me, and I'll be happy to discuss a few of them with you. Now, some of them do have, little buy-ins. Like, for example, 7K Metals. 7K Metals, if you wanted to share 7K Metals with, people out there and earn a commission, you'd have to have $199 to start up. And, a lot of times people don't have that. So that's why I'm saying it. I mean, it's not, you just start up. On the other hand, I've got a plethora of opportunities that I'm familiar with where there's no startup cost. I mean, you probably need a computer and Wi-Fi, but I do a lot of stuff through an outfit called ClickBank. And that's getting back into something I've mentioned before called affiliate marketing. There's a bunch of affiliate marketing positions out there that, if you can drive traffic to the website of that company, you can get a commission. I mean, let's face it, I'm sitting here in Springfield, Missouri, and, I know a lot of our viewers are hopefully throughout Southwest Missouri. One of the biggest companies in the area is Bass Pro. A lot of the folks love to fish and hunt. If you look at Bass Pro's website, the homepage, and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that they have a link for affiliates. And you can click on that and find out how you can become an affiliate for Bass Pro. And then every bit of traffic you get an affiliate number first off, which is a link. So you need to include this link in anything you're doing. But if somebody from your link goes to the Bass Pro website and then buys something, you get paid. So, if you're into hunting and fishing and have a way of driving traffic to the website, you might want to look into that. But what I started to say a minute ago is you're always welcome to call me at 417-755-0700, or you can email me at tony@thegoldaffiliate.com, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. But, there's a bunch of ideas out there, and there's some people that, through situations like this, get real creative and all of a sudden come out the other end, making more money than they ever thought they could because of switching to something like affiliate marketing or something. But anyway, so it's not just you. Higher costs and added financial pressures on families today are causing fear, uncertainty, and doubt on a large scale. And boy, howdy, isn't that the truth right now with everything that's going on? As of May of 17, 44% of Americans said they could not cover a $400 emergency expense and would rely on credit cards, selling something, or borrowing the money if such an event arose. What's happening with your money? Well, you know what? That 44% right now is more like probably like 88%. I mean, that's me speculating, but I'm just saying that, there's just a lot of folks that aren't working as much or at all. And so all of a sudden they're looked at, gosh, what are we going to do? Now, Trump was on the news yesterday talking about a couple of programs he's going to try and get through Congress, where they may try and provide some relief for different industries, the airline industry and this and that. But even without the pandemic, the U.S. dollar back in 1913, was $1. You could get $1 worth of goods and services for $1. Today, it's got about 5 cents left of its purchasing power. And, it's just one of those things where, let's say your family had a trust in 1913 with $1 million in it, and it lost the same value in purchasing power as the chart I'm glancing at here on my computer screen. You are the lucky person to get the money out today. How much would you be getting? The answer is between $40,000 to $50,000. Why? Because of the increased money supply. And what is Powell doing right now? I mean, we were to the point where it was goofy anyway, but one of the solutions that Mr. Powell for the Fed has come up with is let's buy more bonds. Let's do more repos. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, there's an app now that you can get on your phones, no matter if you've got an Apple or a Android. Let me see if I can find it quickly here. Doggone it, where'd it go? There it is. U.S. Debt Clock. As we speak here at 9:42 Central Time on Wednesday, the 18th of March, 2020, the U.S. national debt is $23.4 trillion. And, this is a wonderful program. Look at all the stuff on this, Matt.
Wow.
And that's just a portion of it. I mean, they've got just all.
There's a lot of numbers moving up and down on that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can give you some information here from this one program that would make you stand up and. I mean, like for example, U.S. unfunded liabilities. Social Security is another $20.3 trillion. Medicare liabilities another $31.4 trillion. U.S. unfunded liabilities $128 trillion. So, I mean, there's just a lot of money out there that's why, from this example here, your dollar's not worth as much as it used to be. And let's look at just from 2000 to 2018. Food at home, this is before the pandemic. It was up 43%. If you've been to the store in the last couple days, you know that some of those prices have gone up even here lately. Food out's 59%. Well, that's probably higher too, because now a lot of restaurants, the dining rooms are closed, and you can either just go through the drive-thru or have it delivered. And what normally happens when something gets delivered? I mean, there's a delivery charge, plus you usually have to tip the delivery person. So the cost of food is up. Heat sources up 99%. Car insurance up 97%. Water and sewer up 133%. College tuition up 151%. And that's even with the fact that a lot of colleges have closed their campuses now, and when the spring break's over, they're going to have these kids going to school remotely on their computers. But do you think the tuition's adjusted? Nah. The tuition's still the same. Medical care, 97% increase. And that too is probably going up. So I mean, we've got a lot of reasons why it'd probably be wise to, be as prudent with what you've got or try to make more of it. Do you mind if we show you a case for sound money? And, this outfit, they say that tongue-in-cheek because their version of sound money is gold and silver. Gold and silver is one of the secrets the wealthy have used for ages to amass and protect their wealth. In fact, governments and financial institutions know that and use this secret. They're the largest holders of gold in the world today. There's a reason why. And, part of it is if you go back to 1965, and back then a dollar was 1 ounce of silver. So you had silver was $1, 1 ounce that is, and $1 was $1. You could have bought a gallon of milk for $1. Today, if you went into a store and tried to buy milk with a dollar bill, you would not get very far. On the other hand, if you had an ounce of silver, you'd probably be able to buy 3 or 4 gallons, maybe as much as 5, depending on the store you went to. So you got a 410 increase in buying power for silver. Movie tickets, I won't even go over that one because unfortunately here in the area, our favorite movie house, we got an email from him yesterday saying that there's a big intermission. They're closed till further notice. So we won't even get into that. But we can talk about a Ford Mustang. Excuse me. Back in 1965, the Ford Mustang, the original pony car, Lee Iacocca's baby that saved Ford back then, you could have bought that car brand new for $2,500. And so if silver back then was $1 an ounce, you could have spent 2,500 ounces of silver or $2,500 and got a new Ford Mustang. Let's fast forward to this year. If you went into a Ford dealership and wanted to buy a new Ford Mustang and you had 2,500 $1 bills, how far would you get? Not very far. I don't even know if you could afford the tires and wheels that the new vehicle's sitting on. But if you had 2,500 ounces of silver, you could easily pay for that car. In fact, in some dealerships, maybe if you go for the 6-cylinder model and, not every bell and whistle they put on it, you might be able to sneak out of there with 2. So, that's one of the reasons why the precious metals like gold and silver make such a difference, is that when it comes right down to it, they've been used as currency for 5,000 years. So no matter what's going on, they're usually worth something, sometimes more than others. So anyway, let's look at another example. Let's go back to, we're focusing on 1965, but let's say you had $10,000 back in 1965. That's back when $10,000 was really $10,000, right? And let's say you were looking at buying a house in 1965, and I'm not talking about, some Highland Springs estate or something. I'm saying, a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch, and, one of the, nice neighborhoods here in Springfield and stuff like that, more than likely, you could have bought a house for $10,000 back in 1965. Today, according to the housing inflation rate, that house would be worth $85,803. That's not a bad return. That's 8 times your money. You've had a place to live. If you've taken care of it, you could sell it for 85 grand. But what if in 1965 you had looked at the price of gold and you saw it was $35.50 an ounce back then, and you said, you know what, I think I'm going to put my 10 grand in gold. You would have been able to buy 281 ounces. And today that would be worth about $422,000. So, I mean, granted, you had a choice. You could have put 10 grand in real estate or 10 grand in gold. But over those years, from 65 to 2020, you got a situation where with gold, you'd have 421,000, and with real estate, you'd have about 85.8. So after seeing those stats, does your financial future seem more challenging? And, why aren't you hearing some of this from your financial professionals? Well, that's the reason for the show. A lot of financial professionals aren't going to talk much about alternative assets, mainly because they don't get paid to talk about them. I mean, that's a whole other can of worms we can save for another show. But distribution is a big part of what gets shown to people, no matter if it's financial services or retail or whatever you're wanting to get into and stuff like that. The truth is they don't want you to know. They want you to think it's not important to know the secret of sound money. But we believe in you, and we want to guide you in your journey to amassing and protecting true wealth for your family and your legacy, because you deserve it. And the folks at 7K are the ones that put this together. A lot of this information is pretty much generic so far, so that it kind of goes, hand in hand with any of the gold and silver companies we've talked about. Because, basically it's a matter of, gold and silver is gold and silver, whether you get it from 7K or you get it from National Gold Consultants, or you get it from Carat Bars, or you get it from Mint Builder. I mean, those are just a few of the companies I've brought on the show, and the reason for that is each of them has a little niche that they're better in. One of the reasons I like 7K is they've got the 7K Getaway, which is the travel card. They have a health program that if you're involved, if you have a membership with 7K, you can qualify for their Freedom Health Plan, and you can have a health plan basically in 24 hours for you or you and your family. And, there again, I can dedicate a whole show to Freedom Health Plan, but they're out of Colorado, and they kind of specialize in providing health assurance, we'll call it, I guess. It's not insurance, but it's a way that they can help with the health bills that would be generated, obviously, if someone had to go into the emergency room or the hospital or something like that. And they specialize in providing this for small business owners. So, it's just a way to have this available for folks that are members of 7K. But 7K has a lot of reasons why that they're, something that I like to talk about just because of what they do. Here's a message from the founders. And I got to tell you, there's 4 founders. All 4 of them are Christian business people. A couple of them are up in Idaho, where the home office is in Idaho Falls. It says, we created 7K because we genuinely want to improve the lives of people around the world. We've watched way too many of our friends struggle as the economy fluctuates, employment issues arise, or unexpected changes come up in life. Using the power of gold and silver, we believe we can provide a way for people to create financial independence, preserve their wealth, and live an exceptional life. We started this company because we believe in you. And I will tell you, one of the founders is a gentleman that started another company some years ago up there in Idaho that is over $2 billion right now. So, he kind of knows what he's doing, especially with this kind of a distribution concept. And basically all it is really like a Sam's Club membership or a Costco or a Amazon Prime, where for a very small amount you become a member, and then from there you can buy gold at dealer direct pricing. And so, a lot of people, they start looking at gold and their questions are, okay, so where should I buy it? Who should I trust? What should I buy? How do I buy small quantities? How do I get more of it? And then one of the things I like about 7K is they cover all those things. In fact, they have a buyer certification program that's part of the membership, and you can go through it in probably about 30 minutes, and then you're certified as a buyer to know what to look for. And, let's kind of close on that. I mean, I've covered a lot of ground today. Hopefully some of it's been interesting and valuable. As I said, not knowing what's going to happen between now and next week, I hope this isn't our last show for a while, but if it is, remember you can always call me at 417-755-0700 or email me at tony@thegoldaffiliate.com. I know Matt's kind of getting over here with his computer like he's wanting to close down. How much time we got?
Like 1 minute.
Oh, hey, that's all we need. Let me close by saying thanks to Pam and Jim Whining for making this possible, Dr. Paul Collins for, creating Acts Ministry some years ago, and all he does for everybody in the ministry. And, kind of like Matt was saying there for a moment earlier on in the show, if you're not involved in a ministry, give Acts a try. Acts has some great stuff going on. Plus, they've got a lot of ministries inside the mothership, I guess you'd call it, the macro version of Acts. And like, for example, if you're a veteran, there's a ministry that Matt's dad runs. Actually, Matt's dad and
Pastor Leo Froman.
Yes. And it is a wonderful ministry. And it's helped a number of veterans. So keep that in mind. But other than that, folks, be safe. Follow the rules out there they're giving us as far as how to stay out of harm's way. Wash your hands, and know that we love you and we want to see you again. And goodbye for now.